Hey everybody, what's going on? Unfortunately, these horses aren't going to get painted in time for Fall In. I just don't have enough time to finish my Romans and get enough games of a brand new system. With less than a month to go, I've been busy with some other things now. So I'm going to try and get to the de la Guerre tournament for Cold Wars, which gives me a few months more. Which means I can work on some 15mm stuff. So while I don't have enough time to paint up a whole slew of Romans, I can fix up a few of my British tanks. So this grant here represents, first of all my tanks used to look like this. So the army I painted way back in, I want to say 2009, I painted to about this standard here for these Shermans. Really quick, I mean we were first starting off, so I just wanted to get them on the table quickly. I added some stowage at some point. As you can see, there's tracks onto the sides to kind of give them some side protection, some improvised armor, and there's some stowage on the back. And I've added the antennas as well. And these were done to be more like Italy, so that's why this is the darker tan. But I've since figured, you know what, I'm just going to paint them all up to look like my grants, which I've just recently completed. And the reason why these are the last models I've done is these are the very, very old, original black resin. I mean, look at that. It's just horrible. I had to use a lot of putty in there. And yeah, so the sculpts are pretty bad. I mean, looking in there, I had to literally cut my way into to make the turret rings fit. So yeah, so these models are very, very old, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them up to look like grants, and I'm going to add some stowage on here. My aim is to use these 3 Shermans into my next Fallen list. And you can see in the background I've got some Marmon Harrington 1s, I think, question mark, for early war. They're 3D printed because Battlefront doesn't make them. And Marmon Harrington 1s, I'm going to be using those on my early war list because Canadian Nationals will be the only Nationals next year for early war. So I'm working on a couple of projects, but painting these will be, and doing, fixing them up. As you can see, there's a bunch of gaps where the track guards are. That's the old desert dust tracks. So there is a gap. They're not molded in. The newer ones now are plastic. So yeah, this is going to be my project for between now and Fallen, and you guys get to follow along. Alright, cheers. Alright, so I've glued on all of the stowage, as you can see here. And my buddy Scott showed me this stuff here. So this is Vallejo plastic putty. I'm going to show you the applicator real quick. It comes out white out of this little tiny applicator thing. It's like a metal tube, so it's like you just pierce the tip and then put the applicator on. But I was able to fill in the gaps, as you can see in the rear section of the hull here. I've added tracks onto the sides. I've added more barrels and more ammo crates to the back. I had somewhere that thing of stowage right in the front of this lead tank here fits so perfectly between the two Sherman tracks that I think it has to have been from a Sherman stowage. In the backs of my Shermans, I attached some infantry bags. They were on other places on the tank. And then now on the closer tank here, you can see where that white putty just filled in those gaps, and I'll be able to sand that down later. On this lead tank here as well. You can see I had one road wheel. I was able to find another road wheel in my giant bin of bits. I'm just going to pick up the camera here. Stand by. For the platoon leader turret, I redid where the machine gun was. It was in front of him. I'm gonna make that a map, that little piece of paper that's on there. That's basically the transfers that I was using on my grants, the little jerboa, the desert rats symbol. You got to cut them out anyway. It's a little piece of paper. It's like a light blue, so it actually works out nice for the map. But you can see here, so I've got, so it turns out the 50 cals were on like a rotating ring. So I put the 50 cal behind him, and then I had 3 infantry helmets. So I just glued those on there as well. And this lead tank, let me zoom out, hang on, another way, had a different front, it had armored transmission case, which I don't know if you can see, but there's 2 things of armor on the front here. And I've seen, my buddy Rob Kelly's got a whole bunch of the molded resin Shermans, and I've seen them use the tracks right down the middle here as extra armor. So I don't know, we'll see if, I mean, that looks a little bit different. I wish I'd had more of these bag stowage like this. It looks way better, but oh well, what can you do? So now I just got to wait for this white putty to dry, and then I can start painting these dudes up. These were my most unloved tanks for so long, and hopefully I'll give them some love and paint them up real nice, and then maybe they'll do better, because in my last, I played 2 games last night. In one game they didn't come on. The 2 other units of Grants in their formation got blown up, so they didn't even make it on. And then the other game, where I played Tom again, they came on, and then boy, IL-2 Sturmoviks, if they can range in with those bombs and rockets into the top armor, they sure do a number. So he was able to bail both. I didn't remount, and with the live to fight another day rule, motivation of 5+, yeah, they ran. So anywho, that's that. I'll start painting these guys shortly, and we'll see what's what. Cheers. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the middle tank re-highlighted in Iraqi sand. And you can see the stark contrast between the earlier Italy style camo and the desert style camo. Now what I've done on these other 2 tanks here, because again, Canadian Thanksgiving, so I figured I'd paint tanks all day, but I only got 1 painted. Well, you'll see why shortly. So I've blocked out in English uniform the old gray color. So on the turret especially, you could see where I covered up when I went up and over the turret, because they're all going to have the same scheme of like the wavy black at the bottom, and then if it's hull down, they recreated the wavy black at the bottom for just the turret. But with the other 2 tanks, like, they're ready to go now. So I'm gonna work on that. But reason I didn't get all of these done with my day off is I kind of got distracted with all of these shinies. So I assembled all of this stuff yesterday. I had, as you can see, the 2-pound, this is all early war stuff. The 2-pounder guns were originally on Portee trucks, my old 6-pounder Portee trucks, which is why just the wheels and the one rear trail and the gun shield is painted. I had originally built them all yesterday morning, and then trawling through my bits over there for some gunners for my good friend Scott. For his early war British, I found the correct dudes sitting in these little chairs here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just see how there's a little chair hanging on there. I think I'd used one a couple of years ago for my when I had deacons, and I had this guy sitting down as the commander for my deacon, so I've only got 3 of the seats, but whatever, I've got a 4th dude in here. So anyways, I had assembled these and then rebased them, reassembled them again. These are Marmon Harrington scout cars. They look really, really cool. They've got these little things on the sides here. I guess it was for when they get into some sand, you could put these things down and then try to wheel your guys out of there. So yeah, a little Marmon Harrington scout car. It's got a boy's anti-tank rifle and a machine gun in the turret. One I'm going by the early war book here, but one each can be updated with a captured gun. And my surprise that the captured gun that comes in here is the little 2.8 centimeter PBZ 41 that the infantry teams get. My good buddy Jordan Lewis of Self-Propelled Creative. I wanted something different. Battlefront doesn't make these. These are Marmon Harrington 1s, I believe. They're 3D printed. They turned out okay. They're not the best of sculpts. There's lots of rivet work on here, so it'll be fine. But they too, and I saw a picture of a Pak 36 mounted on one of these bad boys, and I'm like, you know, I kind of got to have a Pak 36, even though it looks ludicrous on there. And I had this Pak 36 gun shield for, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years. For the 21st Panzer half tracks had a Pak 36 upgrade. So I've had that in my bits, again, trawling through this bits thing, I found that. And then I figured, hey, why not? I'll assemble 3 Vickers Mark 6. I don't know what I was using this German one as. It was for my 21st Panzer. I think it was for an ammo carrier. It was part of a big scenic base for my Historicon Nationals 21st Panzer Army way back in the day. So yeah, so I've been busy assembling that and not painting these. But these I need. This is for next year, early war Canadian Nationals. But this I need for a couple of weeks from now. And these Shermans I think are going to be in my fall-in list. So I'll stop blathering on, and next time I catch you, these guys will be done. What's going on, you guys? Finally done my Shermans. They look great. What's funny too is when I finished these the other day, all I need to do is put the decals on, because I traded to my good friend Scott my old Matildas that I'll never use. I was like, you know what, these are the last tanks that I'll ever have to paint for the British, until acquiring a whole bunch more Crusaders, but we'll get to that in a second, because that's my next project. Let's just wrap up these guys, shall we? So, with the decals and all the stowage, it all turned out really nice. I found a color scheme where my Grants have the black and white trimming on like the edging of the camo, but I did find one unit that had just the black, so I thought that looked kind of cool, so that's what I did here. They are magnetized, which I've been now doing to all my tanks, especially these Crusaders that I'm building, but turned out kind of nice. You just gotta drill a hole in these old resin tanks, just drill a hole, put one of the magnets in there, and then pop them in here. Yeah, so the magnets went in nice and good, so these guys are finished. So on to the next project. So I'm taking these guys to fall in for the Flames of War tournament. And then I've been chatting with a couple of the other No Dice No Glory guys. So unfortunately for all involved, especially me, I pulled the trigger on some more Crusaders. So I've got, well, I bought 10 Crusaders. Again, my buddy Scott traded me 2 extra hulls he'll never use. And I was able to, I'm still in the process. As you can see here, I've got the magnets in. I'm just waiting for them to dry so I can go spray them. They're going to be this color here. If you'll recall from my previous video segment, these are those red, I mean, I still got to clean up a little bit of the red from underneath there, but these are those 3D printed Marmon Harrington ones. Basically, armored school bus, pretty much what it amounts to. So they're going to be the same color here. I'm using not the British spray can color. I'm using the Italian one because it's darker, and then I'm going to highlight up to Iraqi sand. And with the Crusader bits, I've gone ahead and, of course, why leave perfectly good models the way they are? I had the old ratty, these are again the black resin Crusaders, the really old ones, and the old 2-pounders had all broken, and I'd kind of ginned up new ones. So in each sprue, there's for the new Crusaders. And by the way, I can't stress this enough, these guys were freaking awesome to put together. Really, really quick, really, really crisp. I'm really, really changing my mind on my thoughts about plastic. I do want to put weights in them, as you can see there, just the nuts. I do put weights in them. Also, the other thing that's really, really good, if you can still get your hands on it, the stowage. So this stowage here, this is from the old Israeli half-track blister. So you just get stowage that would strap onto the sides. It's perfect for British tanks because the backpacks are like the same design. So anywho, so here's my 10 assembled Crusaders from before. I'm going to be adding 2 more units of Crusaders that I need, so it'll be 4 total. It'll be of 3 6-pounders and 1 2-pounder, hence the new barrels on these 2 platoons here. Same deal over here. And then these last 3 over here, typically I probably won't use this one very often. Like in early war I will, but this is what this is going to look like. It's going to be 2 HQ and 1 platoon of 3, all 2-pounders. And then my universal carriers go with them because that's going to be Australian Divisional Cav. So anywho, the end of one project is now the beginning of the other. So I can still tweak my list depending on how many of these I get done before Fallen, which is in 4 weeks. So if I can get all these spray painted today, which obviously I will, I'll do 1 tonight, and hopefully then I'll be able to just power through them for Fallen, and then after that work on something that isn't 15 millimeters. Although these guys are sprayed like this, so I can at least start practicing some early war test games. Because Canadian Nationals next year is early war, and there might be another tournament in May that might be early war. Anywho, that's what I've been up to. Take it easy, folks.